Hello people, welcome to the video series where we learn Kotlin by solving HackerRank algorithms challenges. In the last video, we went through min max sum. Now let's check out birthday cake candles. You are in charge of the cake for a child's birthday. You have decided the cake will have one candle for each year of their total age. They will only be able to blow out the tallest of the candles. Count how many candles are tallest. Actually, this portion of the question does not tell anything about the question. It is only this part. Count how many candles are the tallest. So in an array of integers, in a given array of integers, find out how many maximum numbers they are. What does it mean? So first find the maximum 4 and then count how many 4s in that array, and that is 2. So we need to return 2 because there are 2 max or tallest numbers in this array. Cool. Let's go to IntelliJ IDEA because I want to show you 3 different solutions. With the first solution, we want to first do a for loop to find out the maximum number. For each candle in this candles array, find out the maximum or the tallest, which starts from 0. You already know this stuff if you've been watching my previous videos, but just in case you just clicked on this video, I also want to show you how to find the maximum. So if the candle is greater than the tallest, that means tallest is the candle, or we need to change the tallest variable to hold this value because we found a bigger value. And then we found tallest at the end of this loop, right? In a second loop, you can just count how many of them, how many tallest numbers are there. So you can keep a counter of tallests, which starts from 0. And then for each candle in candles, you do another loop. And you say, if candle is equal to the tallest, because we already found out which one is the tallest after this for loop, now you can check against how many of them in this array. Then you increment counter by 1, like this or like so. It's your preference. I prefer this one when incrementing something because of a couple of reasons. And at the end, you need to return this counter. Okay, so let's experiment with this solution. Let's feed it with an array of 4, 4, 2, 1, 5. And it should be 1, right? Because the maximum is 5 and there is 1 5 in this array. So running this, and also I forgot to print the result we get from here. Let's print this result here. So when we run this, we can see that it returns 1. And if I remove this 5, then it should return 2 because we have 2 maximum numbers, 2 4s. Running this now returns 2, as you can see here. Cool. This can be actually one solution, but this can be improved in 2 ways. The first way is efficiency, and the second way is readability. So we can improve this function in 2 different ways. I'm going to show you these 2 in 2 different solutions. The first version, let me copy this. The first version of the code will work on the readability or the crowdedness of this code, because actually with a modern language like Kotlin in hand, you don't need to find maximums or like count something in an array because there are built-in functions for that. For example, if you want to find the tallest, just do this: candles max and bang bang, because this array can be an empty array, so max returns null in that case. And we are using max, not max or null, because HackerRank does not support 1.4 at the time I'm shooting this video. But if I were you, I would first try max or null to see if HackerRank switched to Kotlin 1.4, because this function is the new name of this function. This is deprecated. But anyways, this is not our topic. So instead of having a for loop, you can just write this much of code and find the maximum in an array. We already seen this, right? And the same thing for counter as well, because you don't need to count something, like you don't need to count all the numbers which hold some certain conditions in an array with for loops, because there is a function for that, and that is count function. You just go ahead and do candles count, and you give the predicate here, the condition. You want it means the looped variable, okay? You want it to be equal to the tallest. So this counts the numbers which are equal to the tallest you just find out, okay? So, and you can inline this having a very short code. Like you can compare this with this, and you can see that this is 11 lines, but this is just 3 lines or 2 lines if you wish. Okay. One gimmick here: don't do this, don't inline tallest. And the reason is, if you go ahead and do this, what happens is each time the count function runs this predicate, each time it checks if any number holds this condition, it recalculates the maximum number, recalculates all the time. If you do this much inline, then you have a very inefficient code. And if you post this to HackerRank with a big array, most probably you will run out of time and it will fail. And the reason is, let's say you have like 1000 elements. For each element, you loop 1000 elements, and you end up having 1 million operations just to find out how many maximums in a 1000 array. So this is a topic regarding complexity, code complexity. Go check out if you don't know anything about code complexity and big O notation. When you do some research, you can see that this code is, I believe, O(n) squared efficiency or complexity, which is really inefficient for this kind of simple problem. So you better get the maximum stored in a variable and check it against it instead of having repetitive max function calls. Cool. I think this also works, but if you want to see it with your own eyes, let's do that. Actually, let me copy and paste this code. And change it to 2. And let's run this function. And you can see that it returns 2, it prints 2, because there are 2 4s. If you increase the number of 4s, let's put it here and run, then you can see 3 4s. So this is really looks like working. Cool. But still, we first loop actually in the background. We don't see the loops right now, but max and count functions does really loops. If you want to check it out, you can on Mac press command and on Windows press Control key and then click on the function name. It should teleport you to the definition, and you can see that max calling max or null, and max or null is just looping through this array in some different ways maybe, but you can see the for loop there. And when you go to count again, you see a for loop. So we still have 2 for loops. This is okay, by the way. For me, this kind of code is okay. We don't need that much optimization in real life problems usually. There could be cases where you try to squeeze the last bit of optimization. There are some problems and there are some platforms you need to do that, but usually most of the cases you don't need that much of optimization, because if this is like 1000 element array, then you have 2000 operations. So what? It's still O(n), okay? Again, a reference to the complexity. O(n) is equal to O(2n), because in terms of magnitude, it's not a big thing. It doesn't go bigger and bigger and bigger like it did with the inefficient code I just showed you. Okay, so this is still okay, and if this is much more readable, you may want to choose that version in your code bases. But again, I want to show you how to do this with one for loop as well, just in case, just you're being curious, or just you say, come on, this could be done with a one for loop. Why like loop through 2 times? I see you, and I'm gonna show you that one as well. Let's again start with the first solution, and let me copy it here in the third function. And now you can see that we're looping through the same thing, and the only thing we do here is actually first finding the tallest and then counting how many tallest, but we can do both of them at the same time. Here's how. You can move this to here and get rid of one for loop, and if a candle is bigger than the tallest, then the tallest is candle, and also you need to reset your counter again to 0. The reason is you will believe so many candles to be tallest along the way, because it's the tallest you've seen that far. So every time you see a new tallest, you do 2 things. First, you change the tallest, and second, you reset the counter to 0, and then you check if the candle is equal to the tallest, then you increment this counter. So in one for loop, you can calculate both the tallest and the counter. So let's run this. Again, I'm gonna copy it from another file. This time 3, and let's run this. It says 3, but since this have a little bit more complex code in the for loop, let's copy this code into HackerRank and get it tested with all different test cases. Okay, let me paste this here, and let's submit this code. And as you can see, it passes all of the test cases. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.